Ryanniag ti Ilocos, programa ngagserbi kamang kenrang tayo iti gobyerno probinsyal, lalo na iti beneg iti sanggo niyang panlalawigan ti probinsya ng Ilocos Sur. Mangted tinanay ng informasyon kadagiti programa, proyektos, tulong ken mga sister kadagiti agproblema nga OFW at kalugaran tayo. Ryanniag ti Ilocos Sur, tinagaget Produktibo Presiding Officer, the busy Governor of the Province of Ilocos Sur, Ryan Lois Singson, our main anchor, Ken Lito Javier, our co-anchor. Ryanniag ti Ilocos Sur, at tuyen nagsubli ngagserbi kada kayo, agsipod tada kayo ti inspirasyon mi. Ryanniag ti Ilocos Sur, da kayo ti inspirasyon mi.
Please have a seat. Thank you. Good morning, Your Excellency. For the second part of our program, we have invited selected business executives representing Australian companies and business organizations to report directly to you on the progress of their business activities and their current and future plans in the Philippines. Our first speaker is the President of the Australia-Philippines Business Council, or APBC. Please welcome Mr. Rafael Toda.
Mr. President, Secretaries, Undersecretaries, Ambassador Helen de la Vega, Ambassador HK, welcome to Melbourne, distinguished guests. Mr. President, before I start my address, I just wanted to commence with my acknowledgement of the milestone you achieved at the Australian Parliament last Thursday. Your address was articulate, complimentary to both nations, and inspiring. It was almost nostalgic, about the times when, as 11 and 12-year-olds, we were shared the stage at oratorical contests in LaSalle. You won the gold medal then, right? But in my reckoning, you won the platinum on Thursday. Thank you for making the Filipino people proud here and at home. Mr. President, allow me to present to you the overview of the Australia-Philippine Business Council and its members' views, interests, and investment plans. In May of last year, Australia published the Southeast Asian Strategy Plan for 2040, where it identified opportunities for Australia and for Australian businesses in the region. For the Philippines, Australia identified 4 key industry sectors with tremendous growth potential and has committed to actively encourage Australian industry to think Filipino and engage. The 4 sectors include education and skills, agriculture, resources, and green energy transition. The APBC has closely aligned with the Australia's findings and developed collaboration skills with its members and Australia organizations to maximize these opportunities. We also work closely with our Filipino counterparts, the Philippine-Australia Business Council and the Australia-New Zealand Chamber Philippines, sharing information, actively supporting each other with cross-border opportunities. APBC is pleased to report its early progress in the following areas. In education, Murdoch University from Western Australia is actively pursuing student engagement programs and with a number of Philippine universities. They are also working on institutional collaboration, having signed an MOU with DOST in April of 2023 to assist the development of the Philippine Virology Center in New Clark. It would be of interest to you to know that one of their international partners is another former classmate, John Lednicki. Yes, now an international leading light in infectious diseases and based in the University of Florida, and sends you his regards. Another APBC member is Disrupted IT, an Australian tech company powered by Filipino engineers. Its core focus is founded on 3 pillars: education, hands-on vocational training, and innovation. The Filipino cybersecurity engineers rotate their Australian technical skills through their technical hub in Townsville, in James Cook University in Townsville, allowing them to gain commercial experience in advanced cybersecurity tools. Today, they too will be signing an LOI with NDC. Following their early milestone today, Murdoch University is signing an MOU with National Development Corporation to establish the Southeast Asian Biosecurity Institute in the Philippines, aimed at enhancing the human and infrastructure capacity of the Philippines. It will ensure biosecurity preparedness into the full value chain, improving our Philippine plant and animal-based exports, directly addressing this imbalance of trade. A world first, it is envisaged the Institute will be accessible to the other Southeast Asian nations and deliver economic, social, and environmental benefits, not only for the Philippines, but also for our immediate neighbors. Murdoch University has partnered with Kansas State, the University of Florida again, and will collaboratively partner with NDC and government agencies as local and local universities to establish the Southeast Asian Institute in the Philippines. In resources, APBC is addressing the opportunity to tap the $1.3 trillion of the mining industry opportunities in the Philippines by forming a strategic alliance with OSMINE, the leading industry association for Australian mining, equipment, technology, and services. They promote the global advancement of technology and innovation in mining. Late last year, again, Murdoch University, in partnership this time with the APBC, applied for a grant from the Australia-ASEAN Council, who are hosting today, this week for you, right, to deliver an R&D roadmap for the extraction of critical metals. It is proposed to develop a template for clean mining, including mineral processing, using environmental, social, and culturally responsible processes. If awarded, the grant the fund of the grant will go directly to the DOST project. I'm reasonably confident that this application will stand robust scrutiny. I'm confident that we hopefully will be very successful. This is best practice, will serve the Philippines well. And the R&D roadmap will guide the Philippines' transition to clean energy and clean mining. In the green energy transition sector, the APBC has introduced Cyclone Energy to the Philippines, an Australian company with a unique environmentally focused waste-to-energy technology and process. Cyclone is establishing a footprint in the Philippines in partnership again with NDC and local Philippine investors. its technology is capable of producing 4 outputs: electricity, diesel, gasoline, and sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF. Its first Philippine project is to produce diesel out of municipal solid waste, including plastics. The first production plant is expected to take 950 tons a day of municipal solid waste, producing 55 million liters of diesel per year. And that's just the first plant. Concurrently to this milestone, the R&D process will commence to derive SAF from aviation, for aviation in partnership with 4 universities in Australia, as well as UP and De La Salle universities in the Philippines. The overall outcome will also help address landfill, our challenges there, and land rehabilitation. The cyclone process, right, and technology is a world first, and it's happening first in the Philippines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raf. Thank you, Raf, for sharing an interesting report. Our next speaker visited the Philippines in July of last year to sign an agreement on the establishment of the first ever lithium-ion battery manufacturing facility in the Philippines. Please welcome the founder and deputy chairman of St. Baker and Energy Innovation Fund, Mr. Trevor St. Baker.
Well, Mr. President, Secretaries, Excellency, HK, and distinguished guests, it's such an honour to have a Mozambique gigafactory seen as a good example of the trade and investment, bilateral trade that can develop between our 2 countries. It was an honour, Mr. President, to learn that you'd flown over the New Clark City and this new age New Clark City and over our Mozambique gigafactory under construction, and was impressed by the vision of the Responsible Bases Conversion and Development Authority and the Philinvest Innovation Park in New Clark City. We anticipate the first Mozambique battery factory to commence production between May and August, with commercial operation and sales locally and export by October this year. This investment by St. Baker Energy Innovation Fund, however, grew out of our initial investment in the Philippines 5 years ago in Pure EV, focused on mobility solutions to replace the polluting gasoline trikes with clean electric e-trikes in Antipolo initially and now in Quezon City. Pure EVs has expanded to Quezon City, where we now assemble and operate tricycles and utility vehicles and are expanding into EV charging infrastructure. We have an overhead, but not here, but we've internationally, St. Baker Energy is involved in one of the largest EV charging technology, fast charging around the world. Our EV networks in Australia is by far the largest EV charging network in the uptake in Australia, and we're hoping to bring this to Australia. But our investment is extending beyond pure EVs and this St. B gigafactory to another of our funds companies involved in the clean energy restoration transition, the St. Baker Energy Decarb, which is collaborating with BCDA also to provide large-scale battery-packed rooftop solar on commercial premises in New Clark City and other cities. The initial installation we're negotiating with BCDA is actually on the St. B gigafactory roof itself, and the sports stadium in New Clark City will supply renewable electricity into the grid, serving New Clark City at a lower cost than at present. And it has the potential to expand well beyond that. This collaboration will demonstrate how large-scale battery-backed rooftop solar can cost-effectively contribute to emissions reduction in electricity generation and supply at lower cost than grid-based renewables generation facilities, which are competing for land and for connectivity. And another of our vested companies, AMSL eVTOL, the vertical takeoff and land, could be a further innovation offering ideally suited to the Philippines' island geography and need for enhanced connectivity. AMSL is garnering worldwide attention, including from the Philippines, where AMSL's unique 1,000-kilometre range vertical off-take and land aircraft with recharging in flight of the batteries from hydrogen cells can deliver a clean energy alternative and a lower cost alternative to helicopters. All of our funds investments in the Philippines reflect our firm belief in the capabilities of its people, proven in our experience over the last 5 years. In closing, I want to express our gratitude to all those involved in advancing these initiatives and in negotiating these collaborative partnerships. We will strive for excellence in these collaborations with Philippine authorities and strive for productive and safe working conditions for our Philippine personnel as we embark on these enterprises. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trevor, for sharing the progress of your investment activities in the Philippines. Our next speaker is Mr. Ivan Varugis, Head of Infrastructure and Energy Capital, Asia Pacific, Macquarie Capital. Please welcome Mr. Ivan Varugis.
Mr. President, Secretaries, Ambassador De La Vega, Ambassador Yu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege to be standing here today to present on behalf of Macquarie. We, as a business, really value our ongoing relationship with the Philippines government and your office. This year marks our 20th anniversary in the Philippines. Today we employ more than 1,000 people in Manila that support our businesses globally. And as a market, it's one of our most important markets within the region. My name is Ivan Varugis. I lead our infrastructure and energy business in Macquarie Capital across Asia Pacific. Macquarie is a leading infrastructure asset manager, and in the Philippines, we've invested approximately $2 billion over the last 10 years across transport, power, and the renewable energy sector. Macquarie Asset Management is a global expert in the financing and development of renewable energy, and today we have more than 105 gigawatts of projects under construction or in development, and are looking to deploy that expertise in the Philippines to support your country's renewable energy targets. Our managed funds have a significant stake in Energy Development Corporation, which is one of the largest vertically integrated geothermal companies with more than 1.4 gigawatts of renewable generation. Alongside our co-investors since 2017, we have continued to support the growth of EDC by investing in new capacity, making significant resiliency investments to better protect it from extreme weather. In addition, Macquarie Capital's standalone portfolio company, Blue Leaf Energy, has partnered with SunAsia, our partners here in the room, Techi's here, to deliver 1.25 gigawatts of solar projects on Lake Laguna to support your energy transition journey. Our representatives had the opportunity to sign a letter of intent for this project during Your Excellency's visit to Singapore in 2022. My business, Macquarie Capital, has been active in the Philippines for the last 15 years and is a leading financial advisor to a number of clients that are here in the room today, and we're also the fourth largest broking arm in your country. As the Philippines embraces a digitalized economy and harnesses the power of 5G, we're also focused on addressing and supporting the demand for digital infrastructure. Macquarie Capital invested in PhilTower, one of the fastest growing independent tower companies in the Philippines in 2021, and has continued to support that business over the last 3 years. We're a major shareholder, and under our ownership, we expanded its local community reach through a significant expansion of its network, including the acquisition of a portfolio of towers from Globe, and today we service all 3 mobile network operators. Through PhilTower, Macquarie Capital aims to continue to support the development of telecommunication infrastructure in the Philippines to respond to the growing connectivity needs of your country. Looking ahead, we believe there are many, many more opportunities for us to support the Philippines government's renewables program, your digitisation program, or as we heard today, your Build Better More program. We think that our expertise and capabilities and the opportunity to share knowledge provides a great learning opportunity that we see as both ways and reciprocal. We hope to continue a regular dialogue with your government about the opportunities ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ivan, for sharing Macquarie's significant investments in the Philippines. Our next speaker is from Medgate, a company in the Philippines providing telemedicine services. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. David King, Director of Medgate Asia Holdings Pty Limited.
Mr. President, Honourable Secretaries, Her Excellencies, Ambassadors de la Vega and HKU, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to give you a brief introduction to Medgate, a provider of telemedicine services in the Philippines. Medgate Switzerland was founded over 25 years ago in Basel, Switzerland, as an international pioneer of telemedicine services with the express purpose of providing medical services virtually through interactions with doctors and patients. Medgate established operations in the Philippines in 2015, backed by a group of Australian investors serving health maintenance organisations and their beneficiaries. We currently have the capacity to take over 3,000 calls each day. In 2020, we provided a COVID hotline for the Department of Health in the first 6 weeks of the pandemic, and in that time we serviced over 70,000 calls from Filipinos. Today we continue to service our HMO customers, and we work closely with the government agencies to expand our capabilities and deliver a broader range of services. As to the future, Medgate will continue to provide services to our HMO customers whilst expanding our offering to retail customers. We will partner with the government agencies and the Department of Health in delivering services to disadvantaged Filipinos, particularly around tuberculosis prevention. We will expand our digital tools portfolio to expand our capabilities with particular emphasis on artificial intelligence, working in conjunction with what we call AIDA, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Decision Assistant. It is an artificial intelligence engine developed solely for Medgate in collaboration with the IBM Watson that assists in the triaging of patients. We're also advancing our plans to use the Philippines as our base to expand our services in other ASEAN nations. As to the landscape in which we operate, our focus is on the utilisation of digital tools to deliver medical services virtually. We welcome the administration's digitalisation focus and look forward to the benefits that it will bring to the delivery of these services. Medgate looks forward to working with the administration agencies and partners in enriching the lives of Filipinos, providing better and more accessible healthcare, and particularly in assisting in the eradication of tuberculosis. We have a vision of creating multiple telemedicine centres in the Philippines, servicing Department of Health beneficiaries and employing over 1,000 Filipinos in the coming years. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you for your mission of enriching the lives of Filipinos through better healthcare. We now focus on initiatives on mining and mineral resources, and this will be shared to us by the Chairman of the Philippines-Australia Business Council, Attorney Dennis Quintero.
His Excellency President Bongbong Marcos, Speaker Martin Romualdez, Honorable Secretaries, Her Excellencies, colleagues and friends. Mr. President, the PABC and our counterpart, the APBC, were formed together following the bilateral trade agreement ratified in 1979 under the joint communique of President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. and Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. The PABC aligns and supports the 4 industry sectors identified during the recent ministerial meeting held in Adelaide last year, which are the sectors of agriculture, education and skills, resources, or critical minerals, and green energy transition. In the late 1990s, the PABC collaborated with the Northern Territory government to train food exporters to increase their knowledge in Australian packaging requirements. In the mid-2000s, the PABC ran a poverty alleviation initiative in Bukidnon with the Northern Territory for a cattle fattening trial program. The PABC recommends the study for the possible application of Australian sugar milling and solar-powered cold storage technologies in the Philippines. Mr. President, in the resources sector, the PABC leadership was involved in the crafting of the Philippine Mining Act of 1995. The PABC also worked to establish the Philippine Mineral Reporting Code, which is the equivalent of the Joint Ore Reserves Code of Australia. The Council and its members are involved in the ongoing study for the feasibility of a nickel and cobalt ore processing plant in the Philippines for the manufacture of battery-grade materials, which would evaluate the applicability of processing technology developed here in Australia and possible financing sources through trilateral cooperation among development finance institutions from Australia and partner countries. We recently met with the joint delegation from Export Finance Australia, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, and the Japan Bank for International Cooperation as they explore possible opportunities to finance critical minerals processing projects in our country. In the field of knowledge sharing, the PABC initiated an engagement and consultation between the Philippine Stock Exchange and the Australian Stock Exchange on Mineral Code implementation. The PABC will work towards further enhancing the engagement between the two countries in these areas. We are grateful to the President and his Cabinet for the continued dialogue and consultation with the private sector as we achieve our shared objectives as partners in development. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, for sharing with us updates on PABC's initiatives. Our last speaker is the President of the Australia-New Zealand Chamber of Commerce and the Managing Director of Telstra Philippines. Please welcome Mr. Benjamin Romualdez.
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Secretaries, I'm privileged to address you today. In 2023, the IT and business process industries contributed 12% to the Philippines' GDP. The Philippines holds nearly 20% of the global IT business process share, generating over $35 billion in revenue and expected to grow by at least 10% over the coming year. In addition to the revenue, the industry provided direct employment to over 1.7 million Filipinos. The indirect employment factor is estimated at nearly 3x. With a median age of only 26 years, our workforce is young, highly educated, proficient in English, and adaptable to the global market. Each year, our universities produce over 800,000 graduates across various disciplines, and of that number, 50% specialize in business administration, engineering, and technology-related fields, which is significant for us. Member companies of the Australia-New Zealand Chamber of Commerce participate in a broad range of industries, including professional services, infrastructure development, mining, logistics, financial services, telecommunications, and many more. But one of our largest represented industries is information technology and business processing. Combined, 17% of our membership is in this sector, and an additional 6% are in other sectors where a significant portion of their business is derived directly from BPO companies and related activity. These include recruitment and staffing agencies, real estate, and consulting. These are significant numbers for a chamber that isn't dedicated to this industry, which illustrates their reach. Today, I'm going to discuss the thriving landscape of the IT BPM process industries in the Philippines, exploring its evolution and the wealth of opportunities it presents. The industry started with contact centers and eventually shifted to back office and shared services work such as finance and accounting and HR operations. However, beyond those roles, there are still growth areas that have yet to reach their full potential. Here are just a few examples. With a 15% growth rate, the creative industry is one of the fastest growing subsectors. Additionally, the convergence of technology and healthcare has given rise to an expanding subsector within the BPO industry. and also on the rise in the sector are legal processing and research. While we come from different legal systems in the Philippines and Australia, the training and skills of legal professionals in the Philippines still apply to paralegal work, from simple to highly specialized. And also from Australia, ANSCHAM sees high demand for Filipino engineers. Among all this growth, companies are managing more data and complex processes than ever before, and this is giving rise to higher value functions such as data sciences, artificial intelligence development, and software development. With the Philippines having over 800,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables and central to the region's undersea cables, a contributing factor to the growth rates of data centers, which in turn is creating demand for network engineers and cybersecurity professionals. Across all these subsectors, from creatives to healthcare, from legal to cybersecurity and AI, we see this growth continuing for years to come. To further encourage trade and investments, ANSCHAM appreciates and supports the Philippine government's efforts to enhance the ease of doing business at both the national and local government levels. Continuing to streamline processes will create a more attractive environment for foreign investors. And secondly, our education system can be future-proofed by placing a focus on new technologies, including artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. By preparing our youth for the jobs of the future, we ensure sustained growth and relevance in the global marketplace. And together, we can make the Philippines' IT and business process industries more than a destination for traditional services, but a hub for innovation and high-value functions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benj, for your remarks. We would like to call all our distinguished speakers to please come on stage for a photo opportunity with the President. Once again, thank you all to all our speakers for their views, plans, and updates on their business activities in the Philippines. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to call Secretary Alfredo Pascual of the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry to introduce the next part of the program.
Your Excellency, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., Speaker Martin Romualdez, business leaders, colleagues from government, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to share with you all the culmination of our collaborative efforts to generate investment leads from Australia to the Philippines in the run-up to this business forum. We are presenting 14 business agreements that have been signed, and these agreements are poised to drive our investment relationships and contribute to Philippine economic growth. This excludes the presentations made by the earlier speakers. The total value of Australian investment into the Philippines that will be presented today is US $1.53 billion. These agreements signify our unwavering commitment to excellence and fruitful partnerships spanning diverse sectors such as renewable energy, waste-to-energy technology, organic recycling technology, countryside housing initiatives, the establishment of data centers, manufacturing of health technology solutions, and digital health services. These sectors are indicative of future Philippines-Australia business engagements. They serve as tangible outcomes of investment promotion and will anchor ongoing Philippine-Australia business engagements. This will also provide a solid foundation for sustained growth and mutually beneficial partnerships in the years ahead. I deeply extend my gratitude to the companies and business leaders who put substantial effort in negotiating and diligently crafting these agreements. Your dedication has yielded strategic alliances, charting new course for our collective future. Let us uphold the spirit of collaboration and seize the opportunities that is ahead. I look forward to the successful implementation and fruition of these projects as we build a bagong Pilipinas. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary Pascual. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the presentation of business agreements. The first agreement that will be presented is a Memorandum of Understanding by and among the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA, the Poro Point Management Corporation, or PPMC, and Kaizen ANZ Pty Limited. May I please call on stage Engineer Joshua Bincang, President and CEO of BCDA, Attorney Felix Racadio, President and CEO of PPMC, and Mr. Dan Barateta, Director of Kaizen ANZ Pty Limited. The MOU covers the conduct of studies for the development, design, construction, commissioning, and funding of a Tier 3 data center with a capacity of 30 to 40 megawatt in the Poro Point Freeport Zone with a land area of approximately 16 hectares. The data center is envisioned to be a project of national significance, providing the Philippines with a robust and scalable infrastructure that caters to both the government and the private sector's evolving demands for secure and efficient computer, network, and storage technology capabilities. Thank you, BCDA, PPMC, and Kaizen Pty Limited. The next agreement is a Memorandum of Understanding between the Basis Conversion and Development Authority and Saint STB Battalion Gigafactory Incorporated, or STB, on the expansion of STB's next generation battery manufacturing and export operations in New Clark City. May we call once again Engineer Joshua Bincang, President and CEO of BCDA, and Mr. David Bryson Gabbery, Chief Revenue Officer and Head of Strategy of STB Gigafactory Incorporated. We would also like to call on stage Mr. Trevor St. Baker, Founder and Deputy Chairman of St. Baker Energy and Innovation Fund, and Mrs. Josephine Gotianon Yap, Vice Chairperson of Philinvest Development Corporation. With an initial investment of $10 million announced last year, STB aims to fulfill its expansion plans from 600 megawatt hour to 2 gigawatt hour by 2030 and avail of at least 4 more ready-built factories in New Clark City and employ an estimated 500 workers. Thank you, BCDA, STB, and St. Baker Energy and Innovation Fund, and Philinvest Development Corporation. Our next pair of signatories are, once again, BCDA, represented by President and CEO Joshua Bincang, and Energy Decarb Pty Limited, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Yvonne Macleod. This Memorandum of Understanding covers the deployment of decarbonization solutions comprising orchestration of renewable energy, storage, and e-mobility to New Clark City Stadium and other BCDA sites to reduce energy cost, reliance on grid power, improve sustainability, and achieve progress on decarbonization initiatives. Thank you very much, BCDA and Energy Decarb Pty Limited. The next agreement is a memorandum of understanding for a collaborative partnership on the development of an electric transportation framework throughout the properties associated with BCDA in the Philippines. We would like to call Mr. Stephen St. Baker, Executive Director of Passenger, Urban, and Rapid Electric Vehicles Solutions Incorporated, or Pure EVs, for the presentation of this agreement together with, once again, BCDA President and CEO Joshua Bincang. Thank you very much, BCDA and Pure EVs. Our next signatory is the representative, the director of Kaizen ANZ Pty Limited for the MOU with the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development Authority. The document was pre-signed by the Honorable Secretary Acosar. This Memorandum of Understanding supports the Philippine government's Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program, or 4PH, countryside housing initiatives. The project will provide 500,000 housing units in the next 5 years to identified beneficiaries of local government units and national government agencies through the Pag-ibig Fund. This project shall contribute to the government's housing program to provide housing for over 6 million Filipino families by 2028. Thank you, Kaizen ANZ Pty Limited. Our next signatory is Southern Infrastructure Pty Limited, represented by Managing Director Paul Watson, also represented by Attorney Jose Layog Jr. This letter of intent is to signify a strong interest for the development of a biomass-fueled, simple, high-temperature, gas-cooled power plant with a 40-megawatt baseload power to deliver a safe, sustainable, affordable, carbon-neutral, green baseload energy in the Philippines. Thank you, Southern Infrastructure Pty Limited. Our next pair of signatories are Paco Industries Pty Limited, represented by Mr. Stephen Comerford, Head of Commercial; FP Paradigm Pty Limited, represented by Director Edward Alcordo; Pristine Sustainable Plastics Philippines Incorporated, represented by Director Edgar Orpilla; and the University of New South Wales, represented by Professor Julian Epps, Dean of the Faculty of Engineering. This Memorandum of Understanding is an Australian-Philippine strategic alliance of 4 entities who are working together to accelerate closing the loop on plastic waste for the betterment of the environment, communities, and people, while solving one of the greatest global challenges in plastic recycling. Thank you, Paco Industries, FP Paradigm, Pristine Sustainable Plastics Philippines, and University of New South Wales. Our next pair of signatories are Integrated Microelectronics Incorporated, or IMI, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jerome Tan, and RRR Manufacturing Pty Limited, represented by its Chief Executive Officer and Founder, Mr. Donovan Casey. This Memorandum of Understanding covers the manufacturing of portable, affordable, and accessible automated external defibrillator solutions branded as Cell AED. Thank you, IMI and RRR Pty Limited. Our next pair of signatories are Jeremiah Drug Incorporated, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jose Ricardo Suarez, and once again, RRR Manufacturing Limited, represented by its Chief Executive Officer and Founder, Mr. Donovan Casey. This Memorandum of Understanding covers the distribution of portable, affordable, and accessible automated external defibrillator solutions branded as Cell AED. Jeremiah Drag will be responsible for the distribution of the products in the Philippines as well as exports to the ASEAN market. The next agreement is a letter of intent by Medgate Asia Holdings Pty Limited. We would like to call Dr. David King, Director of Medgate Asia Holdings, and Mr. Stavros Athanasio, Company Secretary and Asian Group CEO. This letter of intent is to signify the interest for the development of digital health services with a particular focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning to improve healthcare availability in the Philippines with a particular focus on tuberculosis and other respiratory illness. Thank you, Medgate Asia Holdings Pty Limited. Our next set of agreements are national development partnerships of the National Development Company, or NDC, in the Philippines with two companies. We would like to call the General Manager of NDC, Mr. Antonilo DC Mauricio, and Cycleon Holdings Pty Limited, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Philip Major. For this agreement, NDC will partner with Cycleon Holdings for the transfer of its waste-to-energy technology to the Philippines that converts bio-waste to green fuel. Thank you, NDC and Cycleon. For the next agreement, we have once again NDC, represented by General Manager Antonilo DC Mauricio, and Murdoch University, represented by Professor Simon Makirdi, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Global Engagement. This Memorandum of Understanding aims to establish a globally recognized institute in the Philippines focused on developing a robust biosecurity supply chains across Southeast Asia that will deliver significant economic, environmental, and social benefits for the region. Thank you, NDC and Murdoch University. Thank you to all the companies for their continued trust and confidence in doing business in the Philippines. For our next set of agreements, we would like to call on stage the following signatories and representatives. Mr. John Eric Francia, President and CEO of ASEN Corporation and Director of ASEN Australia Pty Limited. Mr. Takashi Yao, Chairman and Managing Director, Marubeni Australia. Mr. Jaime Augusto Zobel Ayala, Chairman of Ayala Corporation. Mr. David Pollington, Managing Director of ASEN Australia. Mr. Shino Muro, President and CEO, Marubeni Asian Power Singapore. And Mr. Robert Owens, CEO, Smartest Energy Australia. This Memorandum of Understanding is for the development of a 200 megawatt-hour to 400 megawatt-hour battery energy storage system in New South Wales, Australia. Thank you, gentlemen. Please proceed to the designated area for the photo opportunity. Thank you so much. We would like to request once again Mr. John Eric Francia, President and CEO of ASEN Corporation and Director of ASEN Australia Pty Limited. Mr. Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, Chairman of Ayala Corporation, and Mr. David Pollington, Manager Director of ASEN Australia, as well as the signatories representing BOC Limited and Zen Energy. The Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Raymond Spencer, Chairman of Zen Energy, and Mr. Anthony Garneau, CEO of Zen Energy. This Memorandum of Understanding provides the cooperation framework to pragmatically progress the PPA documentation for up to 200 megawatt offtake of the New England Solar Project in Australia to deliver and foster a long-term relationship for the supply of renewable energy. Thank you, gentlemen. Please proceed to the designated area for the photo opportunity. Thank you once again to all our signatories and representatives. The presentation of these agreements is truly a testament to the strong economic relations between Australia and the Philippines. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to call Secretary Pascual of the Department of Trade and Industry to introduce the President, who will deliver a keynote message.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., and he will now deliver his keynote.
Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. Thank you, Secretary Pascual, for your introduction. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kuli Nation, traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we are having our meeting today. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend the respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples today. With us here today are the House Speaker, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Philippines, Speaker Martin Romualdez, Secretary of Finance, Ralph Recto, of course, the Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, Secretary Fred Pascual, and Secretary Lutilla, who has been demoted to the lower level of the... I don't know why that happened, but Secretary Popo Lutilla is also here. And the Special Assistant for Investments in the Philippines, Frederick Go. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Also joining us is our Ambassador, Helen de la Vega, and we have also with us the Ambassador of Australia to the Philippines, Ambassador H.K. Hughes. And of course, all our distinguished guests, our very valuable partners in the private sector, and those of you who have now put in your minds and have put in your consciousness the possibilities and potentials of the Philippines. Australia holds a special place as the Philippines' newest strategic partner in the Indo-Pacific region. Through this visit, we are sending a clear message that the Philippines is enhancing our regional economic integration agenda on several aspects. I have always had myself a personal fondness for this city, so it is a great opportunity to come back and visit, to be here at this forum with all of you. I am honored to stand before such a distinguished audience today. Your presence in this gathering speaks volumes about the importance of fostering robust business partnerships and collaborations between our nations. It not only underscores the significance of this forum, but also emphasizes the vitality of our economic and commercial ties. As such, I thank the business organizations who have been tirelessly working in fostering meaningful connections and facilitating practical and tangible business opportunities, providing insights, information exchange, and strategic engagements. Let me also extend my appreciation to the companies that are already partnering with us and making it happen in the Philippines for your plans and significant investments that directly contribute to our economic development. Some of you have shared your plans and commitment to the Philippines, and I'm grateful for your continued trust, confidence, and interest in our country. This assembly serves as a celebration of the robustness and resilience of the Philippine economy. We take pride in being an ideal destination for complementation in both manufacturing and services. Recent global challenges, especially those that were initially highlighted by the pandemic, have underscored the dangers of sole sourcing and concentrating that supply on a single country or a single source. The urgent need to diversify production locations and explore alternative materials to de-risk and minimize disruptions in supply chains has become self-evident. Moreover, the transition to a low-carbon or net zero scenario has further propelled the de-risking trend. So for the Philippines, these global developments present an opportunity to enhance our participation in regional and global value chains. As part of our development strategy, we are keen to explore new avenues of cooperation and foster mutually beneficial partnerships that are commercially meaningful, but also have a social effect. I invite esteemed Australian businesses to consider the Philippines as a reliable partner that can support your expansion and operations. Let us embark on a journey of strengthened economic ties, mutual growth, and shared successes. We remain steadfast in our commitment to purposeful reforms evident in key legislative amendments. And it is why we always ask members of the leadership of the legislature to join us, because many of the plans that we have and many of the initiatives that we are proposing and endorsing require new legislation. It is a new world, it is a new economy, it is a new global economy to which we need to adjust not only our business sector, not only our private sector, not only our finance sector, but also our legislative sector to change, to make the very important structural changes that are necessary for us to adjust to the new global post-pandemic economy. For example, the amendments to the Public Service Act, the Foreign Investments Act, the Real Trade Liberalization Act, and Renewable Energy Act, they all mark a new era for strategic investments, coupled with streamlined businesses, infrastructure development, and the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, or the CREATE Act. These reforms position the Philippines as one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. In fact, we are in the process of improving the reforms under the CREATE Act, and we have used as a guide the inputs that we have received from potential and present investors in the Philippines in terms of the ease of doing business, in terms of modifying the tax structure, in terms of making it a more attractive investment destination. Our overhaul of fiscal incentive structures and responsive policies, including those facilitating public-private partnerships, or PPPs, play a pivotal role in promoting private sector participation. Furthermore, there is the establishment of the Maharlika Investment Fund, our sovereign wealth fund. And that underscores our dedication to financing priority projects and driving socio-economic impact. The key principle that we have adopted, the very fundamental principle that we have adopted, was to consider the private sector as partners in the development of and the transformation and development of our economy. It is very early on, we quickly recognize that government can do very much, but we must also realize that government cannot do it alone. And the private sector does many things that government does not do. And there are certain things that government does that private sector actually would be better at doing than leaving it with the government. And so these partnerships have become very important, are central to any transformation, any success that we may enjoy in the near future. This is the view of our strategic financial planners, our economic group, And altogether, we have all come to that conclusion, and it is something that we continue to promote and to continue to encourage. So we prioritize the ease of doing business, exemplified by efforts to simplify tax payments, streamline regulations, and showcase our unwavering support for businesses, which I signed Executive Order number 18, which establishes green lanes for strategic investments, simplifying procedures and reducing bureaucratic hurdles. Simply speaking, these green lanes are, as we are slowly transforming the way we do business, both in the bureaucracy, both in government, and of course in the general economy, as we are awaiting the legislation to come through, as these have to be very examined in very close detail. We have established these green lanes, and the general idea is that for any investor who comes to the Philippines, that they will no longer have to wing it, as it were, and try to go through the documentation process and learn as they go along. They will be taken in hand by a specific person and a specific group in each department, the relevant department, and that group will attend to all the needs of a prospective investor, so as to be able to put up a company, to start a bank account, to get the permitting down, to get the clearances, etc. And this we do so as to make more rapid the entry of foreign direct investment, but also to make businesses more profitable, because the costs that are implied by inefficiencies are lessened at the very least. So I am pleased to announce the enactment of 3 priority bills. The Public-Private Partnership Code of the Philippines, which paves the way for transformative partnerships and fosters infrastructure development. Number 2, the Internet Transactions Act, which provides the framework for a robust digital economy, aligning the country's policy with the demands of the 21st century. And finally, the Tatak Pinoy Act, or the Proudly Filipino Act, which I recently signed into law just last 26 February, which will support industry development and enable greater participation of the Philippines in global value chains. So we continue to accelerate and deepen policy reforms to improve the environment where businesses such as yours will continue to thrive. On renewable energy, a very important part of our strategic planning, we accord great importance to addressing climate change and achieving energy transition, as we in the Philippines are highly vulnerable to the climate crisis. In line with this, we have put in place several energy transition policies, investment enablers such as incentivizing energy efficiency and conservation that will support and facilitate the efforts to decarbonize the economy. This move strengthens our dedication to environmental stewardship and encourages the private sector to actively engage in sustainable practices. I recognize that Australia also places equal importance in this area, as it is a priority under the elevation of our strategic partnership. In this regard, I welcome the opportunity for greater cooperation on climate change and energy transition. I am glad to see that we have made a good start here today with the agreements that we have come to between our private sector partners. Aligned with our efforts on decarbonization, we are positioning ourselves as a regional hub for smart and sustainable manufacturing. To achieve this, we are at the forefront of attracting sustainability-driven strategic investments powered by renewable energy. We also recognize that there are complementarities to be explored in critical minerals, and we are open to having a dedicated dialogue with your companies about sustainable processing of green materials. This will be further supported by our strong adherence to high labor and environmental standards. We have our trade and investment policy tools in place through the ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement to enable our regional economic integration agenda. I am hopeful that this will be complemented by other policy tools that will enhance Philippines-Australia supply chain partnerships and facilitate greater foreign direct investments. So in conclusion, let me reiterate our gratitude for your presence and active engagement in this forum. The members of my economic team will provide the support needed by your businesses for investments to continuously grow and prosper. Together with you as our strategic partner, we can make investments happen in the Philippines. I am confident that the relationships forged here today will contribute significantly to the economic vibrancy of both our nations. Thank you very much, and good morning to you all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Philippine Business Forum and presentation of business agreements. Thank you all for joining us. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Good afternoon and welcome to the off-site inauguration of Victoria International Container Terminal's Phase 3 expansion. It is an honor to have you join us today. We now invite the Chairman and President of the International Container Terminal Services Incorporation, Mr. Enrique K. Razon Jr., for his welcome remarks. We may now be seated.
Your Excellency, President Ferdinand R. Marcos, Honorable First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, Speaker of the House Martin Romualdez, Cabinet Secretaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We welcome you with pride to this presentation of the investments and operations of Victoria International Container Terminal in the Port of Melbourne. On behalf of the management and staff of International Container Terminal Services and VICT, we thank you for the honor of your presence at this virtual and remote inauguration of the expanded VICT, a wholly owned subsidiary of ISTESA. 7 years ago in 2017, VICT started operations after we had invested $500 million developing Australia's first fully automated container terminal. We were the pioneer in automation with investments in infrastructure, technology, training, and sustainable practices. Our investments of now over $700 million make us a significant foreign infrastructure investor in Victoria, enabling us to transform VICT into a cornerstone for Australian foreign trade. And so it is that today we inaugurate VICT's Phase 3A. This additional investment redefines the Port of Melbourne's landscape, setting new standards for operational efficiency and capacity. VICT can now accommodate the world's largest container vessels, the Neo-Panamax giants, solidifying the Port of Melbourne's position as Australia's #1 container port. Supersized ships can now sail directly into Port Phillip and dock at VICT, the only terminal in Melbourne capable of receiving them. This translates to faster turnaround times, improved efficiency, and ultimately a competitive edge for Australian businesses. The impact extends beyond borders. This project, undertaken by a Filipino-owned company investing in Australia, showcases the healthy trade and economic ties between our nations as well as our shared aspirations. I wish to acknowledge our host city, Melbourne, and the Port of Melbourne Corporation and our business partners for being such gracious hosts and tireless collaborators in this vital enterprise. In closing, allow me to express our gratitude to the management and staff of VICT. You are key in making this happen. The commitment and enthusiasm you have for the task at hand are a source of inspiration and pride. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Razon. Let us now turn our attention to the screen for a short presentation on Victoria International Container Terminal, Australia's first fully automated terminal.
Welcome to Victoria International Container Terminal, a world-leading port facility in innovation and port automation, being the only fully automated terminal in the Southern Hemisphere. With the new expansion, our terminal added the two largest ship-to-shore cranes in Australia, deploying 7 cranes on an extended 735-metre berth, with a capacity of 1.25 million TEUs per year. Along with the automated gate-in and out technology and block designs, VICT has built one of the most efficient terminals that benefits both sides of the supply chain. 17 automated container carriers transport the containers to and from the cranes to the container yard, and 26 automated stacking cranes allow the operation to service landside and shipside operations at the same time. VICT offers the only container terminal in Melbourne capable of handling the next generation of larger vessels, connecting Victoria to the world.
At this juncture, may we now call Secretary Alfredo Pascual for the introduction of our speaker. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Thank you, Secretary Fred Pascual, for the introduction. Please take your seat. House Speaker Martin Romualdez, members of the cabinet that are here with us, the Philippine Ambassador of the Philippines to Australia, Maria Helena de la Vega, Victoria International Container Terminal Chairman, Christian Gonzalez, International Container Terminal Services, Inc. CEO, Mr. Ricky Razon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Manila and Melbourne are both maritime cities which have been nurtured by access to the water and the open seas. Port cities are lifelines of a country to the world at large, especially to this day, where supply chains have become essential to today's national requirements and our modern lifestyle. I, for one, am very proud that the Port of Manila, with centuries of maritime history and expertise, became the birthplace of the International Terminal Services, Inc., or ICTSI, which would grow to be the largest independent terminal operator with 33 terminals located in 19 countries across 6 continents. So, well done, Ricky. You have become a shining example of Filipino expertise, contributing to the smooth flow of trade and commerce in this globalized world that we live in today. Since ICTSI came to Australia in 2014 to establish the Victoria International Container Terminal, we are now seeing, and are delighted to do so, to watch the application of cutting-edge technology and automation in improving efficiency and productivity. Being the only fully automated container terminal in the Southern Hemisphere is a great feat worthy of admiration. VICT shows us that we need not be afraid of technology and automation. Quite the contrary. We recognize that using modern equipment here in VICT has led to a safer working environment, minimizing old occupational hazards, and improving the health and lifestyles of those who work here. We see it in Bruno and his very energetic team. We are delighted to see that since VICT started operations in 2017, it has grown to become a major player in Melbourne, giving healthy competition to its peers. This expansion we are witnessing today is a clear sign that Filipino companies can thrive in some of the most advanced economies in the world. And in the case of VICT, they are in it for the long haul. We look forward to VICT's astounding success and continued growth. I am also reliably informed that VICT takes its corporate social responsibilities seriously. Aside from providing jobs and hewing closely to sustainable practices here in Victoria, VICT has also been supportive of the Filipino seafarers that constitute a large proportion of the seafarers that pass through its facilities, as well as a 95,000-strong Filipino community in Victoria. As VICT has supported numerous Filipino community events, including the harmonized celebrations of the 125th anniversary of the Declaration of Philippine Independence last June 2023, I would like to extend my thanks to Bruno and VICT for helping the vibrant Filipino community become more visible, more involved here in Australia. VICT is a Philippine success story, and I hope it will only be the beginning. With a strategic partnership that has been signed between Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and myself last year, I hope to have laid the groundwork for even more success stories like this in many different sectors, and possibly two-way investments to allow Australian businesses to also take part in the exciting economic prospects that we are now witnessing in the Philippines. Filipino investments in Australia are thriving, and there could be a lot more mutually beneficial pursuits between our two economies that share many universal values. I look forward to our economic relationship bringing about mutual prosperity to our two countries. Today, we inaugurate a facility remotely that will be here for years to come. This facility is built for the long haul, akin to the partnership of our two nations. I am confident that it will be a witness to a future to be defined by closer economic cooperation, a more dynamic and fruitful collaboration between the Philippines and Australia. So once again, congratulations to all the individuals who have worked tirelessly to achieve this exceptional success. Congratulations to you all. Thank you, mabuhay, and good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your inspiring message. To mark this milestone, may we request His Excellency President Marcos and First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos and Mr. Razon to unveil the commemorative marker, which will be permanently displayed at the Victoria International Terminal at Webb Dock East. Mr. President, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.